The following is a street fight! And it is for the undisputed WWE Championship! In this match, there are no countouts, no disqualifications, and the only way to win is by pinfall or submission!
When you walk behind and you're not a leader, then the view never changes. The view never changes. The view never changes. Don't let me down now, because I came back for you, for that man up there that died 10 years ago and never got the opportunity to see a real world champion. And I'm proud of you, and thank God I have you.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
The undisputed WWE Championship match is presented by Wheatley American Vodka, the undisputed champ of smooth. Wheatley is 10 times distilled and never backs down from a fight because cutting corners is an American. Enjoy your summer by grabbing an American Mule today. Wheatley, the official vodka of WWE. Please enjoy responsibly.
time it is.
Introducing first, the challenger from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing in at 222 pounds, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And his opponent, from West Newbury, Massachusetts, weighing in at 251 pounds, he is the greatest of all time, the never seen 17, here tonight at SummerSlam, one final time, the last real champion, John Cena!
Get it, Alicia! It is main event time! For the 6th time in his career, and the final time ever, John Cena will main event SummerSlam, defending the undisputed WWE Championship against the former champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I actually got an opportunity to talk to John Cena earlier today. John seemed like the John Cena of old. The man that I spent over 20 years with in this industry. The man that I rode up and down the roads with. It seemed like the old John Cena is back, much like he proclaimed Friday night on SmackDown. Much like they stood toe-to-toe as the final 2 men in this year's Royal Rumble. 2 of the final 3 before Jey Uso went on to win everything. And after the show of respect, here we go. Cody and Cena underway.
Cody Rhodes said, I wanted the best version of John Cena. Ask and ye shall receive, at least if you believe the words of John Cena this past Friday.
And Cena sending Cody out right out to the announce table early on. Remember, street fight rules, anything goes. You got to win via pinfall or submission. And Cody Rhodes now sends Cena shoulder first into the steel steps. And for those of you questioning whether or not Cody Rhodes had the killer instinct and whether or not he pulled the trigger, Cody Rhodes answers that early.
Yeah, this is a very different situation than WrestleMania 41 when Cody wouldn't pull the trigger. That was about remaining virtuous. This is a street fight, though. Breaking the rules, the standard rules, is not only allowed, it's encouraged. So Cody, fill your boots.
Cody bouncing Cena face first off the apron. And now John Cena going to reverse Cody shoulder first into the steps. And John Cena. That's Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers. And now taking a clutch from Tyrese. Tyrese, of course, out after an Achilles surgery. And now John Cena using the crutch. Again, perfectly legal tonight. Anything goes for the championship.
Yeah, it's very difficult for John Cena to do anything wrong tonight because all bets are off. Well, it's Cena cocking up here, using the base of the steel steps that is much heavier than the top end, which is bad enough in itself. Cooking up something here for Cody.
Again, Cena won the championship at WrestleMania with a win over Cody Rhodes. Cody wants the title back tonight, but John Cena wants to finish off his first SummerSlam with a bang. Looking for the AA. Cody Rhodes now with John Cena up, and he'll slam him down on the steps.
Well, that is falling on your own sword for John Cena, such as the inherent danger of a street fight like this. Any weapon you bring in the ring could well be turned on you.
John Cena, of course, undefeated against Cody Rhodes in his career in one-on-one action. As Cody now looks to head up to the top rope. Cena looking to try to roll up the steps and does. And now he sends Cody Rhodes crashing to the floor.
Careful what you wish for, Cody Rhodes. If this is indeed the very best version of John Cena, the one that's been AWOL for the past 5 months, you may have put yourself in major jeopardy here. You see how heavy those steps are.
Yeah, look at the power of John Cena. In this very dangerous situation here. And Cena, actually throwing the steps at Cody, who immediately grabs his arm.
That radius of that ulna could have snapped on that one. It's the forearm for you, Michael Cole.
Thanks, Gorilla. And now Cody bounced face first off the barricade. Cena, the record-setting 17-time world champion. And Cody Rhodes now launches himself with a big disaster kick to John Cena.
Another look at this impact.
Oh my goodness.
And there's just no way of safely blocking that to reduce the impact. You just have to eat it. And I'm a surprise.
Cover.
Back in it.
And Cena kicks out off the side Russian leg sweep. Cody knew he was going to pin Cena there. That was a little mind game.
Yeah, of course, it was psychological. Let Cena know who's back in control of this one. It's the fight within the fight.
Drop down Cody Rhodes with a big right hand. Again, into the cover on Cena. And Cena forced to kick out.
Here's the issue for John Cena. The reason he's had so much success over the past 5 months is because he's broken the rules. Others haven't. That's not an option tonight. I don't know if I see how John can win this match when he doesn't have the advantage against the best of the current generation, Cody Rhodes.
Again, street fight rules tonight. Cena claims he saw the error of his ways. Knows he has 4 months left here in WWE. And and a power slam by Cody. Cover now for the title and a kick out at 2.
Locked in focus of Cody Rhodes. This is a mission to prove to himself more than anybody else that he can take out the very best of the previous generation, the greatest of all time.
Cody launched over the top rope. John Cena collapsing to the floor as well. And now Cody trying to see what type of tools he can utilize from under the ring. Steel chair in hand.
Hell of a lot of options hidden underneath that ring, and John Cena knows it too.
And John's got a steel chair, and both men now in the ring. The official in this matchup, Dan Engler, can do nothing about this. And Cody sends a smart move by Cody. Sends the chair flying. Now he uses the other chair to his advantage.
Shockwaves reverberated down the fingertips of both men. But
Cover
Cody,
again by Cody. And forces Cena to kick out at 2.
Cody's just shrugging off the pain a little faster than John Cena at this point, and that might be the element of youth that's in favor of the challenger here.
Now stopping away at the ankle of John Cena is Cody. Cody understands the importance, the opportunity to get his championship back, the championship that defined so much of the last couple of years in his life, finishing the story a couple of years ago at WrestleMania, only to have it ripped away from him in such controversial fashion this past April.
The body of John Cena has been through wars for the past 20 years, taken way more abuse than most, and eventually it does catch up with you.
And Cody now sent into the chair. And Cena ducks underneath, and now John Cena with a shoulder tackle. And a little bit of the Cena of old coming through.
Anyone who's been in the ring with John Cena has tasted this moment.
And John with a 5-knuckle shuffle. And now measuring Cody Rhodes, looking to put Rhodes away. Had him in the position for the AA. Cody Rhodes over the clothesline. And again, Wade, to your point earlier on, Cody Rhodes seems to be a step ahead of Cena tonight.
Yeah, he knows exactly what's coming from this version of John Cena. That was the issue at WrestleMania. He didn't know what was coming. And this has perhaps made it easier.
And Cody cutter! And that could be it. John's neck snapping back. Cody and a kick out by Cena at 2.
Another look at this. Cody cutter, expertly executed. So precise. Cody is locked in. Of course, he had to win the King of the Ring tournament to earn himself this opportunity. The crown is great, but this is even better if you pull off the dot.
Oh, it's what defines Cody Rhodes here in WWE today. The undisputed WWE title. John Cena now with an AA from out of nowhere. Cover to retain the championship, and Cody gets the shoulder up.
Cody ain't going to go down that easily. It's a move that has put us all away at one time or another. It's put Cody away in the past, but this is the best version of Cody Rhodes we have ever seen, and he is driven tonight.
And now Cena runs right into Cody. Cody going to climb up to the top rope. Cody, oh, look at that. Cover on that cross body, and Cena kicks out. That twisting cross body by Cody Rhodes almost puts Cena away.
Like a Terry Funk style moonsault right there. So hard to defend. It's not linear. Get your hands up. It'll knock you upside the side of your head.
And to point, he ended up in that cross body position. And now Cody off the second rope with yet another disaster kick to Cena. Cover by Rhodes. John has to kick out at 2.
Again, here's an age factor for you. I don't want to harp on about John Cena. He is clearly at the twilight of his career. And when you get deeper into a match like this, massive momentum swing in the favor of Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but can John Cena feed off adrenaline? Can he feed off emotion? John Cena has 4 months left in his career here. He wants to go out as the champion. That's what he wants to be remembered by.
John Cena needs to feed off the C Nation.
Oh,
it ain't working right now.
Covered by Cody. Hook of the leg and a kick out.
Cody Rhodes has been emotionless from the get-go. Every kick out, Cody's eyes are like a computer processing the data. What do I need to do? How close is Cena to be ready for the kill?
And again, Wade, it's what we were talking about earlier on. Cody finally proving that he had that killer instinct, that he could pull the trigger when he needed to. But now John Cena with an electric chair to Cody Rhodes, center of the ring. Cena cover. Can he retain? Hooks the inside leg, and Cody has to roll the shoulder out. And it's a big fight feel in our main event. Been a rumbling the crowd since the get-go. And Cena with Cody back up on his shoulders again. Cody Rhodes now lifting John Cena off. Cody Rhodes!
Oh, God.
With a pile driver to Cena! Cody Rhodes with a pile driver for the title! And Cena kicks out!
That is a move that is technically banned in WWE. You can't ban it in a street fight. It's banned because it paralyzes human beings. One of the most dangerous moves we have in the history of professional wrestling. Well, Cody pulled it off tonight, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, look at Cody, the look on his face. He can't believe he didn't put John away with that pile driver. Cody Rhodes digging down deep, pulling out all the stops, doing anything he can to try to win the title tonight. Cody's tried just about everything, Wade. And now you see the official Dan Engler checking on Cena, who instinctively kicked out. The pile driver, though, leaving John in a heap.
John can't even move his limbs at this point, despite that kick out. And this is a major concern, and the referee may have to step in. It is a street fight, but the ref can end it if... Oh, no,
John
hold
Cena
on.
back to his feet, playing pasta. AA delivered both men down. Man, Cena with a tremendous amount of resilience, getting Cody up and delivering the AA.
An explosive, almost instinctive reaction from John Cena. Unable to mount a pin here. Another look at this. I thought Cena was playing possum, but the post-AA collapse tells you otherwise.
This is our main event in front of 60,561 WWE fans at SummerSlam Sunday. John Cena, his final SummerSlam ever, defending the WWE Championship against the former champion Cody Rhodes, and both these athletes leaving it all in the ring tonight. Cody ducked underneath. John Cena launched up, pop-up powerbomb. Cover now. Isn't enough. Cena able to kick out. Turns it in. Looking for the STFU. The STFU's in.
Completely locked in there. Cody in panic mode. Cody in peril.
Cody's got to try to make it to the ropes to force this break here.
What an amazing transition from Cena just when he got written off from that powerbomb.
Cody dragging himself to the ropes to try to grab it, forces the break.
No
John
road
Cena.
break. No road break. This is a street fight. You can use the ropes for leverage to pull yourself out of the ring. That is Cody's only chance here.
Indeed, and the official doing a great job making sure that he didn't call for the break here. But Cody now using the ropes to his advantage to make sure John Cena has to break the STFU.
Well, Cena's throat dragged across that bottom rope. There was almost no way out there for Cody Rhodes. How much damage has been done?
And now John Cena suddenly in control of this matchup. The current champion, the 17-time champion. And now a reversal, and Cena is set over the barricade into the timekeeper's area by Cody.
This audience absorbing every blow, every shot from these two superstars. People are scared to blink. They don't want to miss a millisecond of what is likely to be an all-time...
Oh! Cena with a microphone off the face of Rhodes.
We're at that point in the match. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. God, Cena! Are you kidding me? Cena! John Cena pulling out all the stops tonight.
The skull of Cody Rhodes rattling off the ground there. John Cena turning back the clock, rolling back the years, and now has a massive smile on that face.
And now clearing off the Spanish announce table and putting Cody now on our announce table. And you got to wonder what John's got in store for Rhodes.
I guarantee you it's not going to be pretty, whatever it is, Cole.
Street fight rules. Cena can do anything he wants here. He's got Cody Rhodes up on his shoulder. He's making his way toward the Spanish announce table. Cena with an AA to Cody through the table. Doing everything he can to walk out of here with the title.
Collapsing the reinforced metal desk. Cody launched like a human projectile. How much power does Cena still have?
Again, the pinfall or submission needs to take place inside the ring in the street fight.
Cena can barely stand up himself at this point. Understandably so.
Well, John looks unbelievable in this match, though. Best he's looked, I think. here in WWE in his return. Sends Cody back in the middle of the ring, and John Cena now in pursuit. John cover, hooks the leg to retain. Cody gets the shoulder up.
My God, take another look at this. A jumping John Cena, a flying Cody Rhodes, and a horrific landing for the American Nightmare.
But again, the story of this is, Wade, is that Cody Rhodes is still able to kick out of the pin by Cena following this.
That's no surprise to John Cena. He's fought the best for 20 plus years. He's seen the toughest, he's seen the most durable, and Cody matches all of them. Cena knew exactly what he would have to do tonight to get the win.
Cena firing up. Oh, nobody home. Cody Rhodes sidesteps Cena. Cody now's got him in possession for a Cody. Oh my God, the crossroads by Cody. Cover now. Hooks the leg. Almost had him. Cena kicked out at 2. And now Cody has the doubt starting to set in. The crossroads by Cody.
Locked in out of nowhere, the crossroads, bang on the top of Cena's head. It should have been over, and against almost anybody else, it would have been over. You wanted the best, Cody. Well, you got him tonight.
And John Cena has just been feeding off the WWE fans tonight, but perhaps the end is near. Cody's saying, what do I need to do to put John away? What did JBL used to call him? Big match John. Always steps up in these massive situations in his career.
Big match John, QB1, hustle, loyalty, respect against the blood, the struggle, the nightmare.
Now Cody Rhodes heading up to the top rope. He's got Cena hooked. High above the ring here at MetLife. John trying to power out. So much of his game over the past couple of decades has been based on power. And John Cena now with a couple of headbutts to the chest of Cody. And Cody dropped to the mat. And now Cena to the top rope. How is Cena still able to do this? Leg drop, back of the neck. Cody may be out. John Cena with an opportunity to deliver an AA. Just like old times for John Cena. But Cody Rhodes kicks out.
Oh my God, John Cena going for broke here. There's no way to land this for Cena that's remotely pretty. It's even worse for Cody. Followed up with yet another AA. And Cody Rhodes, who clearly is no longer in control of his faculties or his body, manages to kick out.
Yeah, but now it's John Cena who's starting to say to himself, talk to himself, what do I do? What can I do? Street fight rules, but John may have an idea in mind.
John Cena has the experience to never run out of options. He's been in the deep waters more than anyone. Chair ain't good enough, apparently.
But a table might be.
Cena apparently having all the time in the world to concoct whatever he wants to come up with here. Because Cody Rhodes is minced in the corner.
Oh, he just went through an announce table with an AA and got AA'd again inside the ring. And John Cena just taking his time, setting this table up to use it to his advantage.
Cody Rhodes just desperately trying to gather your bearings, figure out what the hell you have to do to get back into the fight. You do not want to turn around and see this view.
Cena now measuring Cody, lets Cody back up on his shoulders. Cody Rhodes, though, smart move, tips the table, and now Cody delivers a DDT. Into the cover, hooks the leg on Cena. John's got to kick out again.
The right move at the right time for Cody Rhodes. Sometimes defense is the best form of attack. Get that table the hell away from you and figure it out from there.
And now Cody looking to use the table to his advantage. punishment showing on both of these men as our undisputed WWE Championship match continues in the main event at SummerSlam.
Could only ever have been this way. The two best from their respective generations, all-out war.
John Cena, averting disaster. Cody Rhodes as well. John Cena now with Cody up top. Cody hangs onto the top rope, able to land on the apron. Ducks down underneath and going to drag John outside. Now John bounced over the barricade and into the WWE Universe here, and Cody's in pursuit.
Well, the entire stadium is your playpen tonight, gentlemen.
The reason it's called a street fight.
In fact, outside the stadium could potentially be referee in hot pursuit.
Now Cody whipped into the protective barricade. No padding there, though.
This entire audience now being treated to a front row seat.
And Cody and John throwing everything at one another and now throwing haymakers. Cody just raking across the back of John Cena.
Cena is just moving so well. The best he's moved since returning to WWE, and this is the most abuse he's taken in that time.
Agree 100%. Going toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes, and now John Cena with a barricade in hand, bouncing into Cody, using anything he can as a weapon.
This looks very ugly for the American Nightmare.
Oh, and Cody driven back again.
Tried his best to block that, caught it on the arms more than anything, but unable to launch a volley back in response.
Now John Cena
gonna
lift Cody up again.
Oh no.
And Cody surviving. Cody though, suplexing John into the steel.
No give whatsoever. Spine against steel. Every angle imaginable, Tyrese Halliburton felt that. So did all of us.
Cena trying to crawl away. Cody Rhodes trying to gain the upper hand. This match has been so even, Wade, for the undisputed WWE title.
Been an absolute barn burner so far. Who's going to crumble, though? Both men close to collapse.
Cody still in pursuit. Cena doubled over in pain.
Both driven by greatness. Something out of reach to most of us mortals.
Well, John Cena, I've said it many, many times, the greatest of all time, the 17-time champion. Cody Rhodes looking to follow in his footsteps. And Cena now sending Cody underneath this massive stage here at SummerSlam.
Well, we didn't have a cameraman close enough to see what the hell is going on here.
And again, Cena and Cody Rhodes are somewhere underneath the stage. That there is the elevator shaft that
somebody on fire.
Cody Rhodes came up
Oh!
on it. John Cena now coming up the elevator that Rhodes used earlier on tonight for his entrance. And Cena now with Rhodes on his shoulder.
I've seen that look on Cena's face before. It didn't end well for Cody Rhodes.
And Cena with Cody Rhodes on his shoulders. Delivers an AA onto the ramp of the stage. Just an incredible moment at SummerSlam.
A reinforced steel ramp capable of holding ambulances should we ever need to drive them down to the ringside area, which sadly is starting to look increasingly likely looking at the carcass of Cody Rhodes.
Indeed, John Cena gonna have to drag or carry Cody back to the ring.
I don't know if Cena's got the power left in his body to walk that far. Well, dragging a dead weight like Cody Rhodes. Cody is a big dude.
John Cena gonna prove you wrong, Wade. Cena with Cody on his shoulders is marching his way back to the ring.
The ultimate farmer's walk for you strongman enthusiasts, and this is this deep into an arduous street fight.
Cena marched all the way down the ramp to the ring to put Cody inside, where John has to actually get the pin to win.
John Cena really has tapped back into what made him great in the first place this evening. I have my doubts with the rousing speech.
And Cody, though, Cody quickly drops Cena under the table. Cody Rhodes took advantage. Cena driven into the table. And now Rhodes with a crossroads to Cena. Covered by Cody. John kicked out again.
John Cena, when he's done all the hard work at the top of the ramp, thrown through the table, pounced on with a crossroads, and still as hard-wearing as ever.
And the doubt again crossing the eyes in the face of Cody Rhodes, wondering what he needs to do to put away the greatest of all time, the 17-time world champion.
The man who, for better or worse, controlled WWE for the best part of 15 years, and to this day, in 2025, continues to do so.
How much does Cena have left? How much does Cody have left? And Cena now, Cody up over the top rope and falls to the floor.
John Cena written off thousands of times historically, almost always capable of bouncing back.
Now Cody with a chair off the face of Cena. Street fight rules: do anything you can to keep your opponent down. Use anything that you can.
Cody Rhodes, a man constantly needing to prove himself, only interested in the biggest of challenges. Well, you got it tonight, Cody, didn't you? Can you finish the job?
What exactly is Cody doing here?
Screwing that turnbuckle, the ropes down.
Loosening the bottom ropes here. Cody Rhodes with that exposed turnbuckle, that piece of steel.
Use that as a metal truncheon if you really wanted to, and I think that's the idea.
Cody Rhodes, doing anything he can, whatever he needs to do to try to fell the champion.
That's the name of the game in this street fight. Go above and beyond.
Cody again measuring his man.
Cody having doubts again here.
Well, I mean, he's looking at the all-time great.
Once upon a time, Cody's hero. The man Cody modeled himself after.
Wade, we've talked so much about this over the past number of months. Pulling the trigger when you have to. Having the killer instinct when you need to, and Cody Rhodes did it yet again, using the steel, the Cena.
You have to be merciless right now, Cody. Block out the noise, block out the history, block out the human feeling.
Well, it's all legal. It is a street fight.
Cody begging the referee to call this off. Jack Cena, he can't defend himself. Cena just shoved the referee away.
He went through a table, he got hit in the face twice with that steel. And John makes it back to his feet. Low toe hold. This time Cena trying to wrap up Cody Rhodes for the STFU again. And now using the ropes to his advantage. John Cena has no remorse. He'll do whatever he has to do to keep the championship. Cody trying to fight out of this.
Trying to get some oxygen back in his lungs after Cena cutting off with that rope, and now reversing it on John.
And now it's Cody Rhodes using the rope as a weapon. Cody making Cena pay. And can John fight out of this now? Cena went low. Now he's got Cody up on his shoulders again. Cody Rhodes, though, ducks underneath. Cody's got John hooked. Crossroads.
And he ain't giving up there, Cole.
Cody still has John hooked. Another crossroads.
Will two do it? That's the question. I don't think Cody thinks so.
Is Cody going for the trifecta? A triple crossroads to Cena. Cover by Cody. Cody, oh, and a kick out. A kick out by Cena. You gotta be kidding me. How the hell did Cena kick out? And Cody in disbelief. If you can read lips, you know what he just said. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Rhodes is shocked. Cody Rhodes thought he had Cena pinned after 3 crossroads.
Well, that was number 3, and that had to be the end. But Superman is back to his best, and Superman at his best is unbeatable.
Cody staring at the undisputed WWE Championship. The title that he held so proudly before losing to Cena at WrestleMania this year.
Cody might be realizing he's met his match this evening. What the hell have I got to do to keep John Cena down?
Anything you need to do. It's about being champion at the top of the game, even if it means taking out a man you idolized for many years, who you looked up to, who you tried to pattern your career after. And now Cody Rhodes on his feet, title in hand.
No remorse, Cody. This is what both men signed up for.
John Cena back to his feet. He catches Cody. AA! Attitude adjustment. Cena going for another one. John with an AA. And he's not going to do it that way. He's going to do it his way.
Oh, God. A super-powered version, Cole.
John Cena with Cody on his shoulders from the second rope. Cena looking to power Cody up. John Cena with an avalanche AA to the middle of the ring to retain the championship. Cody kicked out. Yet another near fall in a classic main event.
An avalanche AA from the second rope, the additional height, the broken body of Cody Rhodes crashing down, center of the ring, and a 2.99 while Superman meets Superman.
How many times in this match has doubt crept in the mind of both of these men? The man who's been the standard bearer of the company for 2 decades. The other man who wants to carry this company into the next decade. Cena and Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship.
Doubt seems to turn to despair there momentarily for John Cena, but he's cooking up something else. And how do you raise the stakes when you simply have thrown everything at Cody Rhodes, yet somehow it's not quite been enough?
Well, you introduced another table, I guess. Under street fight rules, John Cena. And again, the WWE fans with the familiar chant for Cena.
What a war of attrition this has been. Both men throwing everything, but both men being equal to the abuse thrown at them.
Well, wait, there's no doubt whoever wins this match will have earned it.
Trial by fire for both men. Forget passing any torches.
And now, John gonna look to power Cody back up to the top rope again. How much do these men have left? John Cena now, as if that first avalanche AA wasn't enough. Now with a table in place for John Cena to retain. Cody Rhodes trying to fight back with the elbows down to the face of John. Lands on his feet now. And Cody up top.
Oh God, Cody, what a reversal if he can pull this off.
Cody, cover through the table from the top rope.
John ain't the table, Cody ain't the table. John has no idea where he's at.
Not at all. John just collapses onto the ropes.
Cody's body is not cooperating, but he has his bearings. That's more than can be said for John Cena.
Yeah, Cody's back to his feet. He's stalking his opponent. Cody Rhodes looking to put John Cena away one more time in a final salute to the greatest of all time. Cody Rhodes with a crossroads to Cena. Into the cover, hooks the leg. Cody Rhodes is champion.
Here is your winner, and new undisputed WWE Champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes!
In one of the most emotional matches in Cody Rhodes' career, Cody Rhodes has defeated the greatest of all time in John Cena's final SummerSlam to once regain the title that means everything to him, the undisputed WWE Championship. And ladies and gentlemen, this replay is presented by Wheatley American Vodka, the undisputed champ of Smooth.
Well, this was the Avalanche AA that we thought was the kill shot to Cody Rhodes. But Cody Rhodes was on something special tonight, on a promise, on a mission, and refusing to be denied. And this was really the game-wrecking moment. This Avalanche Cody cutter through a table, leaving John Cena defenseless and unaware. A salute to the Chain Gang soldier who went down fighting tonight, but Cody was just the better man.
It is somewhat appropriate that in his sixth main event in his final SummerSlam of all time, John Cena would once again roll back the clock, would once again deliver us a match and a performance for the ages. But in the end, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, who has vowed to carry this company as its quarterback, as its captain into the next decade, Cody Rhodes is once again the undisputed WWE Champion. Two men that have meant more to my career than I can ever say. It has come full circle. At MetLife Stadium at WrestleMania 29, John Cena with the most therapeutic win of his career when he defeated The Rock. It was almost a passing of torch at that moment in time. And now here, once again, back at MetLife Stadium, this time at SummerSlam, it is again a passing of the torch from the greatest of all time, John Cena, to the man who will carry WWE into the future, the new, undisputed WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes.
That shot right there, the nucleus of an entire industry. Two men who laid it all on the line tonight.
And absolutely, always the gentleman, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, will leave the ring to the one and only, the greatest of all time, John Cena, to bask in the glow of over 60,000 people in what is his last SummerSlam. Wade, there's 4 months left. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this while you can. We have 4 months left to enjoy the greatness that is John Cena. What? Holy shit!
Oh my God!
It's the Beast! It's the Beast!
The Beast is back!
Brock Lesnar! Brock Lesnar! Brock Lesnar! And that's SummerSlam! Oh my God! Hell has come to the Meadowlands! Wait, it's been years.
Hold on, I'm looking at the look in John Cena's eyes. It doesn't look like he's ready to greet an old friend here. There's a smile
Wait a
on the
minute.
face of Brock Lesnar.
Let's not use the word friend when it comes to Lesnar and Cena. This is a man that has beaten the hell out of John Cena over the years.
This is a man who is a walking hazard, a walking threat.
John Cena once called this man his greatest rival, his toughest rival, his most physical rival. And Brock Lesnar is here, and he's as massive as ever. The Beast has not taken his eyes off John Cena since he entered this stadium. He had shed his jacket, he's taken down his hat.
This is a man built for one thing.
And now Lesnar into the ring, and Brock Lesnar with John Cena on his shoulders. Brock Lesnar with an F5 to John Cena. On a night when John Cena went through an absolute war with Cody Rhodes.
Let's be honest, Brock Lesnar was never coming down here to commiserate with anyone. A message has been sent, and everything we thought we knew about WWE just changed.
Wade, what I said is John Cena's got 4 months left, and it could be a nightmare. A man who has dominated this event has once again made headlines. The Beast is back, and he's hungry as hell.